Bobb Bruno here from Best Coast. Welcome to my house, Yeti's Lair, also studio. Going to show you a lot of junk today, a lot of my junk. We're here in the living room of my house, Yeti's Lair. Whenever we record here, that's how my house gets credited. So, talk about some amps. This is a Rock amps. It's cool because it was made in Pomona, California. And I have a couple of these. You don't see them that often. This one is rad. It has this built-in fuzz with a couple different waveforms. It's super gnarly sounding. There's a band in the late 90s, early 2000s called Smile. That was from Tustin, and I was really into them. They put a couple records out, awesome guitar sounds, and they have one song on their first 7-inch that has this gnarly fuzz sound that I've always been obsessed with. And then one day, the guitar player, Mike, he posted a photo of this amp. He's like, this is what we used on that song. And I was like, okay, now I got to find one of those. And I lucked out and found two of them in the same day. So I have this one, I have another one that has built-in reverb, which is cool. And then I have this amp here, which is the Baldwin Professional. This amp that Willie Nelson still uses to this day. If you see any live footage, you'll see one of these mic'd up on the stage. It has these cool looking, these EQ presets. So there's bass, some mid, there's a mix, trebly sound, and really good tremolo and reverb in here. I love amps that have both of those things. This is my main Best Coast guitar. It's a Elliott Easton from the Cars signature model, the Tiki Bird. It's all stock. I didn't mod anything except for this Daryl sticker right here. And then here's my main baritone guitar. It's a Squier Jazzmaster. I've owned almost every baritone guitar there is, and this is by far my favorite. Easy to play, not super heavy. I had a Mastery bridge and vibrato installed on it, so it stays in tune really well. Down here, I've got the Magnetone amp. John Bryan actually gave me this, which is rad in to itself. Everybody knows the vibrato is super unique in these, and that's mostly what I use it for, is that sound. All right, so over here we have the Telray. It's an oil can echo. Nothing quite sounds like this. Kind of got like a reverb, warbly kind of sound. There's a lever back here. It's really good on keyboards and guitar and stuff. And then below this is super awesome. This was made by Billy Zoom of the band X, one of my favorite guitar players. It's a reverb tremolo unit. The reverb here is the most surfy, excessive surf kind of reverb. It has this depth switch that you can pull out that basically it sounds like if you plugged right into a reverb tank and then put that in a cavern or something. It's really cool, kind of tinny cavern sound, and then really nice tremolo in here. Then down here, here's some of my rack stuff. I have these 4-channel Cytec preamps. I think Jim O'Rourke talked about these in an interview that I read, and that's why I got them. And a couple other people like them too that I admire. And then the Bricasti, a lot of people freak out over that. It's just probably one of the best rack reverb units ever made. This is really cool. It's a Korg gated spring delay. So set the gate on it. Triggers the spring wherever you set the threshold. And then we got the Marshall time modulator, another crazy thing. I can't even describe what it really does. It just is a weird, totally unique kind of modulation sound. And then below that is an Eventide instant phaser. I think this is what Led Zeppelin used on Kashmir for the phasey drum sounds. Over here, got the Optigan disc. So this keyboard plays these discs with an optical sensor, and I'll do a little demo. You have these keyboard with sounds. And then these buttons chord buttons have sounds. And over here we have the Sony chord machine. It's a boombox from Japan in the 80s, but it has a weird synthesizer in it that does these cool arpeggio things like, let's see if I can get it to work again. There we go. Here we are in the guest room. I put up a lot of bands when they're on tour, so you can fit like 3 people. This bed pulls out so you can fit like 3 people in here, and it's also where most of the keyboards are and pretty much all of the pedals. As you can see up on this wall. I've been collecting pedals since pretty much as soon as I got my first job. I was buying pedals. So a lot of these, especially like the DODs, these Ibanez things up here, some of the Boss stuff, like nobody cared about that stuff. And like the meat box here, which is like crazy expensive now, I paid $25 for that used. And then also this distortion H, you can pull in and out, basically kind of like an EQ distortion. You can pull out whatever frequencies you don't want. The touch, I love the color scheme on this one. It's just kind of like an overdrive, like a pretty bright overdrive pedal. Here's the ugly face. Nels Cline gave me this. It was made by a school teacher in the Bay Area, I believe. Really cool fuzz with a filter. Nice and furry too. Number 1, Shrine to Elsa, my favorite dog. So adorable. And then, yeah, a lot of keyboards. A lot of drum machines. I'm super into drum machines. The way my drum machine mania started was I got into playing music kind of late, like later than most people. I mean, I was doing like Misfits covers or whatever, but like as far as doing my own music, like after high school, I never imagined like being in a band or doing anything like that. I thought I was going to be like a postman or something. That was literally like my life goal. And so I was just into the idea of doing stuff in my bedroom, like after work. I started making music that I could fall asleep to since I have like bad insomnia. So I didn't really know anybody to play with to do that kind of stuff. And I didn't want to be in a band situation. So I got into drum machines, and since then I've always used them to help write stuff. And then on my solo records, it's like 99% all drum machine stuff that I programmed or using preset beats from old beatboxes, like, I got the CompuRhythm here. Very nice. There's this Auto Orchestra down here. This is really cool. It has these preset beats, but also has these cartridges that you can stick into it. And these are funny because they have like some of the funniest like preset names ever. This one has Bluesette, and then one that's just called Jewish is one of them. Hot Dance, and then this one has like, it's split between like reggae beats and then country ones. So there's a Waylon beat, Willie, Buck. And then there's one that's just, they're all Cobham fills. So it's supposed to sound like insane fusion drumming, and it just sounds like nonsense. It's like the dumbest thing, but also the coolest thing. Like a lot of things I'm into. Dumb and cool at the same time. This is really cool. This is a Yamaha mixer. Has a really cool built-in spring reverb. Also has a beatbox in here, drum machine, so. The thing about the shelves, it's not like, oh, check out my collection kind of thing. It's like everything used to be in these boxes, and when you get a lot of pedals, you kind of forget sometimes that you have them. And so this was just a nice way to organize them. And I can see the ones that I tend to use the most. But there's still, that being said, like 3 other crates down there full of pedals. So I need to get some more shelves. So yeah, when I'm doing a Best Coast record, I'll come in here with like a suitcase and just grab like a lot of the ones that are my favorites or ones that I haven't used. So I can get some different sounds that I didn't use on the record before and just stuff to mess with. Like this one here, the Vans Warped Tour distortion. I have to use this on the next record. It's actually not a bad distortion. It's pretty bassy, which is cool. It doesn't sound like a Warped Tour guitar sound, which I was a little disappointed by, but it's cool. It's really useful. I really love the Aqueduct. So many rad features on this. This by Retroactive Pedals. This is kind of like a warpy VCR kind of sound. Good for like kind of lo-fi transition-y things. Or there's like, if you have a digital like keyboard, just giving it a little warmth and some color. And a kind of more random modulation than what you get within the synth. So yeah, electro-harmonic sequencer. You don't see these that often. It's really cool. It's being triggered by this drum machine here. And these sliders are the pitch of each note in the sequence. And you can have a long decay or a really choppy one. This is a Tascam cassette 8-track, the MIDI Studio 688. I think it was the last cassette 8-track that Tascam made. Pre-Best Coast, I used to record a lot of underground LA bands like Mika Miko, Abe Vigoda, Silver Daggers, Harasser, Pocahontas, Robe Door, a ton more. And I did that all on this machine. Back then I had to mix down to CDR straight from this. Used to lug this thing around to different venues or wherever the band wanted to record. I did one record in Mika Miko's basement with this thing, and then some live stuff at Pear Space. I used it for Best Coast, this record store day 7-inch we did a couple years back. And the most recent Ahmad Wasif record I did, we tracked basics on this guitar and drums. Still works, and it's very heavy. So going to talk about this. This is the Oliver G150R. For the first couple of years when I was playing guitar, I wasn't really into tube amps. I was more into solid state stuff. I played in this band, The Four Carnation, and the studio we were recording at, they had one of these amps just as like a house amp, and I played it and was like, whoa, this amp is really great. It has amazing low end. My favorite thing about it is it's super clean, takes pedals really well, which is where, you know, most of my sound comes from, is from distortion, fuzz. And so I just want a really clean amp when I'm playing. It's got the 115 in it, really good reverb and tremolo. These were made by Jess Oliver, who designed the flip top amps for Ampeg. And when he left Ampeg, he started his own company, Oliver. So after I got this one, I started collecting these. And when we go in the storage room, I can show you the rest of them. All right, so here we are in the storage space. Like I was saying, these Oliver heads, I just showed you the combo version. This is another one. This one lights up, has this light up plate right here, and you'll see the logo illuminated if it was plugged in. So yeah, I have like 4 or 5 of these heads. I've played them on every Best Coast record. This is my main guitar amp. Toured with them on the Only Place tour. And then I got nervous, so now they just stay at home and only are used in the studio. Got the Workhorse crate power block here. These are awesome. You know, it's a head this big. Definitely use this in the early days of Best Coast for some like fly-in stuff. Down here, this is awesome. This is an acoustic 150. This was given to me by Nels Klein also. I think when he was a teenager or very young, this was the head he used. And when he moved to New York. He gave me a couple things. So I have this. I have like his first rack unit somewhere in here, and some Geraldine Fibbers guitar cases, which is really awesome. I love that band, and so he gave me some of those to hold on to. Yeah, there's a lot more amps. All the Best Coast backline is right here, and a bunch of drum kits. I loan a lot of gear out to bands that are flying in if they need backline for like a West Coast run or something. There's a ton of amps, a ton of drums that they can take if they want. Thanks for hanging out at my house. Show us your junk. You've seen it all. Well, most of my junk. Be nice in the comment section. I don't want to read any bullshit. All right, later.